All right, so let's talk about the American dream, or as some may say, the American nightmare that's going on right now in our country. The American dream, home ownership. Let's talk about that. There's a lot going on in home ownership right now, and I got my notes here, so I don't want to forget anything, so forgive me for looking down, but we got a lot to talk about here. So first thing first, forbearance versus deferral. Forbearance, April 1st, big topic in our industry. Forbearance. A lot of people wanting to not have to make a mortgage payment for the next 90 days, 6 months, or even a year. I highly advise against that. Please make your mortgage payment. If you're able to do so, please make your mortgage payment. Of course, if you can't make your mortgage payment, then of course you have no choice. But just don't think that you can call your mortgage servicer, who you make your payments to, and say, hey, coronavirus, I don't want to make a payment. And they're obligated right now to say, okay, you don't have to make the payment. Here's what I'm hearing from the servicers. They're agreeing to these forbearances or deferrals, however you want to define it, but they're asking then that the consumer make the payments after that forbearance. So it's kind of like a balloon payment. So for example, if you skip 3 payments, on that 4th payment, those 3 payments that you skipped are now due, so you're due for 4 payments. Well, what happens if you can't make those 4 payments? Well, they can either extend that forbearance for another period of time, but why do that and just kind of, move it down the road, kick the can down the road, or they tried to do a loan modification on your loan, which may affect your credit at that point, or they start the foreclosure process. So as a consumer, please make and have a conversation with your service provider on what happens at the end. Just don't think you can take a holiday from your mortgage payment and it be okay. And let me say this, because if you go into foreclosure because you can't make those 4 payments, what's that do to values? That hurts everybody. And so now all of a sudden you're hurting the servicing portfolio. And so what may happen there in the future is the servicers may say, you know what, instead of you putting 3% down or 3.5% down in the future, you may be required to put 20% down or even 10% down. And so you're going to have this credit hit, and then you may have to put more money down in the future because we just hurt the portfolio of loans for somebody who does an FHA loan or a 5% down conventional loan. So I suggest if you can make your payment, please make your payment. It's for the greater good of the industry, and you're going to need another loan in the future if you want to buy a house. So again, if you can't make your payment, understood. You got to do what you got to do. But if you have the ability to make your payment, please make your payment. Don't think, I've seen some things on Facebook, as crazy as this is. I saw a post on Facebook where somebody said, I'm going to do a forbearance and take that money that I would be using for my forbearance and remodel my kitchen. Bad idea. Bad idea. And if your realtors are telling you to do that, or you're getting some advice from a loan officer or whoever to do that, shame on them. Not a good idea. Please don't do that. Okay, non-QM. I made last week, non-qualified mortgages, gone. Well, they're making a comeback, which is kind of a good thing. I've got 2 lenders now making a comeback in the non-QM space. So they went out, and a week later they came back. Now they're not as strong as they were before. They're not offering as aggressive of a program, but they're back, or at least one of them is, anyways. Hopefully they stay back for a while. So that's a bit of good news. I like seeing good news. Overlays. These were a big hot topic back in 2008, 2009. What's an overlay? An overlay is what the lenders put on top of the qualifications that Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, HUD, VA, USDA. The lenders then put an additional overlay or additional criteria on the underwriting qualifications to purchase a home. For example, FHA doesn't really have a credit score requirement. You can get a loan with no credit score under FHA, under a manual underwrite. That's HUD. However, most lenders are requiring a minimum of 640 credit score. Some at 620, some at 580. Wells Fargo just announced yesterday a 680 credit score. So they're all over the board as to what is considered risk. Now, why are they doing this, Jason? Well, they're doing this because they don't know if you're going to do this forbearance thing, number one. Generally speaking, people with higher credit scores tend to always make their mortgage payment if they're able to do so. where people with lower credit scores tend to take advantage of not having to make a mortgage payment. So I understand the logic behind it. Another overlay that we're seeing is the verification of employment, which that's understandable, right? I mean, if you're going to lend to your friend or whatever, and you want to make sure they have a job before you actually give them the money, I get that one. Verification of employment's up until the time that you take possession or get the funding on your loan. So that one I get. Debt to income ratios. We're starting to see debt to income ratios having a bit of a lower ceiling, lowering that down to a lower debt to income ratio. So that, coupled with maybe a little bit higher interest rate, that's going to hurt your purchasing power there a little bit. So you want to be mindful of that as well. Okay, this little segment here is going to be about realtors. Come on, guys. I'm still seeing realtors make these TikTok videos of them dancing in their living room or dancing with their dog or dancing, or these things are silly, quite honestly. Redfin is still out there. They're going to take your business. They're taking your business. I just saw an article this morning. They've seen a 30% increase in their virtual tour traffic. 30% increase in 1 week. What's that tell us? There's still no buyers out there. There's still people wanting to see properties. They don't want to go out there and physically see them because of the coronavirus, but they still want to see properties. It even said in the article, there's quite a few people who are buying the property without actually physically walking the property. So realtors, this is opportunity. You have an opportunity right now to get out there, do some virtual tours, take some pictures, take some videos, good quality stuff. Don't do the shake where, we're not in an earthquake here. Good audio quality, do it right, and put it out to the public. And I'm also going to make this other announcement here for realtors, and that is, look, we live and breathe real estate, and the public wants to know what's happening in real estate, how it's going to affect them. This is the biggest investment of the person's life, and they're looking to us for guidance. So take the time, do some videos, talk about what's happening. Don't take a video so that you can be on Instagram of you drinking some kind of cocktail sitting by the pool. That does the public no good. Nobody cares about that. Really, nobody cares about that. I don't even think your friends really care about that, to be honest with you. So make some videos that really that the public can really use and absorb. Right now, the public is desperate for information, and we in our profession can provide this information to our consumers, or to the public, and really have added value. To add some value to our industry. So do the right thing, make some good quality videos, get some good research done, get the good quality information out there, because the public is really in need of it. So please do that. I've had conversations here the past week, some people, what's your opinion, Jason? What do you think home prices are going to do? And it's an easy supply and demand scenario. As supply goes and demand, if those two are equal, they have to be in harmony with one another, right? If one is higher than the other, then that affects prices. So if you have an oversupply of properties, that's going to bring property values down. If you have low supply of properties and high demand of properties, then you're going to have high prices, right? So right now, they're pretty equal. There's probably in the lower price points under 300,000. I've had a couple contracts this week where there's been multiple offers on those properties. So we're still in a multiple offer situation in the middle of this pandemic. I mean, if you think about that, that's big. That's big. Was on a webinar this morning, and they were talking about this very question. And one analyst, I won't say her name. I don't want to put it out there, but. And you can agree with this or not agree with this, but she thinks that there's only going to be a 1% to 2% decline in values from this when this is over, hopefully in a couple months, right? Or even by the end of the year, let's say. And year over year, that still would be an increase in values year over year in value. So real estate is still a solid investment, still a very, very good investment. So in long term, 5 years, which is the average stay for somebody who's buying a house, looks fantastic. So don't think that holding out right now may equate to being upside down. Now, if you put very little money down in the property, you might be a little bit upside down in the next year, but that will quickly rebound. So if your long-term goal is to be in the house, create many happy memories with your family, grow your family, then buy the house. If you're looking to turn a quick buck in a house, don't buy. In fact, leave that to the person who truly needs the house, actually, and leave that to the people who really want the house. So, just looking over my notes here, I think that covered. Oh, last thing, realtors. This is the other thing that came of this conversation, which I thought was really, really smart, and that is suburban living is probably going to make a comeback in the near future. Remember, just a couple years ago, urban living. I want to ride my bike to work, and I want to just hang out in downtown and go to my favorite restaurant and everything like that, and that lifestyle. Hey, that may suit some people. But during a pandemic, do you really want to be that close to your neighbor right now? I know I don't. So suburban living may make a comeback. That's good for builders. This is something to be thinking about a year from now. Suburban living may be making a comeback. Not to say urban living is not a good thing. It fits somebody's lifestyle, some people's lifestyle, not particularly mine. But I think more people will be more sensitive to their neighbors and the potential of this pandemic even making a comeback. Until there's a vaccine, this thing could come back in January, February, or even December of this year. Hopefully not. Hopefully we got some treatments by then, and it will kind of be in our rear view mirror, so to speak, but you never know. So that may affect the buying habits of people. So realtors, take notes. Builder, take note. May be something useful. So that's it for this week. Until next time, that was